Thanks for joining us. I'm Marlon Bowling, your tour guide, your ag commodities. We're going to take a look at what to expect in our grain trade today with a little help from Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated, and he's based in McHenry, Illinois. All right, for the first item on the agenda here this morning, Rich, let's take a look at some overnight sale information that just came out from USDA mere moments ago. And what we have is a sale of, this time it's actually corn. That is not the right screen. We have corn sold overnight to Japan. It is 230,000 tons of corn, and it is sold for the 2018 and 2019 marketing year, which is our current marketing year. So basically about 250,000 tons of corn sold to Japan this time around. We can add that to the total. Seems to be quite a bit of interest in our corn harvest here lately.
No doubt about that. I think this is actually really important because this now brings their total, in fact, to about 2.9 million tons procured. Going through my numbers here as far as their current pace, so far they're only sitting at last year by this time 1.3. So no doubt about this. Japan, like many other corn buyers, certainly stepping out there and being a little more aggressive than we thought.
Okay, now when you look at today's trade, and in fact, let's go ahead and go through our Globex trade here from overnight, and we'll take a look at what the market has been doing as we get ready for the daytime session. So in the corn market, a little bit of a softer tone here overnight. At the last check here, we had the December contract down 3/4. We're at 366 3/4 per bushel. March is down 3/4 as well. In the soybean trade, though, we were trading firmer overnight, and looking at November, we are 3 1/4 higher at 869 1/4. January up 3, and then you look at the wheat market, and we had that big turnaround, reversal to the upside yesterday in the wheat markets. And overnight, no follow through. It looks like December Chicago wheat down about 3/4 cents. Most contracts down a little over a penny. In the Kansas City market, we have the December contract down 1/2 at 522. March down 2, and then Minneapolis wheat overnight, we had the December contract up 2 1/4 at 593 3/4. So still hanging on to a little bit of strength there. Now, is Minneapolis wheat still trading stronger due to that trade agreement with Canada?
We have to assume something like that here. And also for us on the feed grain side, mostly the Kansas City contract, for instance, I think some people are suggesting that the Russian news, where the health and safety watchdog overnight suggested or clarified that they do not intend to place official limits on their wheat exports, for right now at least. I think that's also an issue which is keeping this wheat rally maybe in check right now.
So explain that real quickly, if you would. The reason the wheat market rebounded at mid-session or late in the day yesterday was because Russia said they were not going to export wheat for a while out of some ports due to phytosanitary concerns.
That sure is right. 30 separate locations were basically warned by the government in this case for, like you mentioned here, health and safety reasons officially here. And then overnight, the government's health and safety watchdog said, well, this is not an official type of ban, and we do not intend to restrict exports. So just a bunch of rhetoric being pushed around right now.
And I know some pundits yesterday kind of wondered if that wasn't just to provide a little cover for maybe cutting back on some exports, too. A lot of folks talking about that. We'll bring you back here in a moment, Rich, and we'll get your thoughts on what to expect in our livestock trade in the middle of the week when we come back. Well, let's rejoin our conversation that we have going on with Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated and find out what Rich is thinking about our livestock trade today. Well, we had a strong close on the cattle market yesterday. At least everything was on the plus side anyway. What do you expect to see happening here this morning?
For today, we do expect a slightly higher tone. I think this morning's ADP Employment Services, a survey of private market employment, was pretty good here. In fact, they saw 230,000 jobs added in September for private market employment. That was much better than the previous month of 168,000. And this is actually the best number for this particular survey, I want to say, going back for at least about here it is back since February. So good job gains. Hopefully that could provide a little more strength for us on the cattle side on the demand discussion here for us here this week.
I want to take a look at our livestock summary from yesterday, and we'll take a glance here at what was going on for the cash cattle trade. So scanning across the wire reports that we have here, looks like limited activity yesterday. We did have some sold in Iowa, And looks like maybe just a handful of head that sold in Nebraska yesterday. Now, it appears, from what we can gather, the price was somewhere between 111 to 112 in those particular areas if you calculate it on a live basis. And we did hear some rumblings this morning that maybe that was just for some particularly nice cattle that had moved at that price. So we'll have to wait and see if we get higher numbers. Nothing can really be read into that for establishing a market trend. You had a comment about carcass weights as we get an update here at the middle of the week. What have you been hearing?
Yes, the Iowa-Minnesota weekly hog weight report actually showed that our discount to last year's weights, we were running maybe 1.0, 1.3% under last year. Today's number puts them at about 0.7% under last year. So this weight issue is reflecting the fact we have a small backlog of market-ready hogs, which will probably need to be processed here in these next couple weeks here.
Now, what about cattle weights? Have you heard an update on that?
And for the most part, these cattle weights are running very close to last year for both steers and heifers. So in this case, we're tracking last year, which itself was a very low weight year, so no major change on that side here.
Okay, well, we'll see how things open up and if we get any follow-through today or not. Thanks for talking with us all through the morning here. We look forward to your information from Allendale. Rich Nelson happens to be with Allendale, and he is based out of McHenry, Illinois. We open up the markets here, Janet, in 5.5 minutes from right now.